Hey, I'm Josh for Bass Buzz, and if you're looking for a beginner bass and you don't want to go crazy researching all of the many options, you're in the right place. Me and two other pro bass players are going to zero in on 7 of the most popular options in this series, let you know what sucked and what was totally awesome, and hopefully by the end of this series you'll know which bass you want and you'll be ready to start rocking as soon as possible. In the first review, we're going to check out this Epiphone Tobias Toby Deluxe 4 and find out if it lives up to the Michael Tobias name. We're going to jump right into the blindfold tests of this bass with my reviewers Ben and Gio. If you want to know more about the methodology we used for selecting and reviewing these basses, check out the full piece at bassbuzz.com. All right, I'm here with my buddy Ben Burley. He's going to help us and review all our basses. He's been a buddy of mine for years, great bass player, and I'm excited to have you here.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get my hands on all this new gear and tell you what I think.
All right, let's get that blindfold on. Okay, so I got Ben blindfolded, and the first thing we're going to look at is just playability. So just kind of play around, and I just want you to see, like, how does the neck feel? How comfortable do you feel, like, crossing strings and string spacing and upper fret access? Just kind of tool around the instrument, see how it feels.
Nice to navigate, neck feels comfortable. The lower position itself actually feels like a nice little grip to it. Moving from one set of strings to the next, it's very comfortable, it doesn't feel very wide.
Playability for me on this bass was really good. I agreed with Ben and Gio's feelings on this. I particularly love the 2-octave neck and that you can actually reach those top frets. So the cutaway here is at a pretty good spot. So I can actually get up there and do chords and stuff, which is hard when the cutaway comes out too far. So bonus points for that for sure. Like Ben and Gio said, the neck's a little bit thicker than we all seem to like. But definitely a great neck for this price range. All right, I'm here with my buddy Gio Benedetti, who...
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Gio. Gio was my local bass hero when I was a teenager, playing in a band called Toast Machine, doing some really awesome bass and drum duo stuff. And now he's touring nationally and internationally with the Brothers Comatose, playing upright and singing.
Yeah, very different from Toast Machine, but it is a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, we're all over the place, so come see us, come say hi. I'm not impressed by the pickup.
This is a little plunky, feeling, so it's one of those things I'd say that, a pick would definitely lend some tightness and some spike to it. But in general, not a bad rock tone, for sure. I'd say the bridge pickup in this situation sounds a little thin, which is a characteristic of the bridge pickup itself, but nice and tight. Gotta say, I actually really like it. A lot of times I'll hear a bass boost and I feel like it becomes overwhelming, but all this talk of loose and sag seems to actually be a pretty tight bass tone to it. So yeah, nice big fat tone. It definitely carries a pretty big push, which is nice. I appreciate actually, like I was talking about with tight or loose. It does seem to have a nice tight feel to it, even in that big.
Yeah, that bass boost is in a nice spot.
Yeah, the bass boost is really working. I like it.
Overall tone thoughts are, we were playing it acoustically before, and I like the sound of it acoustically better than what we're finding through the pickups, even with the adjustments.
Yeah.
I feel like it comes out pretty thin, and it comes out. I don't know. I'm not able to hear the sound that I want to hear out of it.
Not bad versatility by any means, but I would say probably leans more towards the rock tones. The jazzier tones, you might need a little bit of help from that bass push, just because the bridge pickup did seem a little on the thin side.
Yeah.
But that bass boost is definitely something that I'm liking. So I'd say, if you needed to use that to compensate for stylistically, it wouldn't be a bad bass to have.
Tone is where this bass really suffered in the ratings. All three of us really felt it was lacking in a lot of the tones we look for in our bass playing, like round, vintagey soul tones or a nice punchy funk tone. The only thing I feel we could really get out of this bass is really aggressive kind of rock sound. Just the natural sound of this bass with the pickups balanced and the tone kind of in the middle is really growly and aggressive. So if you only play rock music, this might be an option. But for anything else, we really didn't get what we were looking for out of the electronics. Comfort. You've been sitting with the bass for a little while. How does it feel, like weight-wise, balance-wise, just overall?
Yeah, weight-wise, it's amazing. I mean, it's a very, very light bass, comfortable.
It's the weight of the bass is a suspicious weight. Like, it feels cheap. Which I always am suspect of. Like when it feels this light, I'm like, uh-oh, something ain't right. So it's not heavy enough for me to like really trust it. But it's really comfortable. Like as far as the balance, it's great. The neck is very comfortable, and the body feels good. It's not getting in my way, and I got my two little places for my thumb.
In terms of just physical comfort stuff, which this is probably the least important rating out of the 4 categories we rated, this instrument is fine. The headstock's not too heavy, so it doesn't dip down like this, like some basses do. The body weight is actually a little bit lighter than I would expect looking at the size of it, which is all right. So it's just kind of middle of the road fine in terms of the physical comfort stuff. All right, last thing, let's try out some different techniques on this bass. Let's try some slapping and see how that feels.
I think both positions were nice. First position, I liked a little bit more. It had a little more robust tone to it. A combination of slapping, having some treble, just from the technique with the bass tone. Very nice.
Yeah! Dude, this is the sound. This is like the heavy metal bass, punk, aggressive punk sound. Dude, I think this is a pick bass.
Yeah, wow.
I like it. It's an aggressive sounding bass. It's just, it's got that like high mid and high sound.
So the pick and slap tones are fine, again, just for the aggressive rock sounds, not for a nice funky slap sound or like a muted vintage pick tone or something. I actually noticed a really big issue for slap. For me, the way I slap, I tend to be touching the bridge with my forearm a little bit, and I use that for muting sometimes, but it's also just where my arm gravitates. The way this bridge is shaped, I found really unpleasant to have that digging into my forearm, especially because there's a little imperfection in the metal right here that's a little bit sharp. So I find it impossible to slap on this bass comfortably. I have to adjust my technique so that I don't grind my arm on that sharp part of the bridge. So this bridge design to me does not work for my slap technique. So I gave it a much lower rating here than Ben and Gio did because they didn't experience that. All right, now's the exciting part of the show where we remove the blindfold and show him what he's been playing.
Woo!
Insert applause track.
It's the Tobias. Cool.
Whoa, okay, cool. You know, it's definitely a nice bass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
stylistically and looks.
Overall, this bass got a pretty medium rating from all of us. And I actually enjoyed playing it acoustically more than I liked playing it plugged in, which to me indicates that most of what we didn't like about it was these pickups. We just didn't get the sounds we wanted. So unless you play aggressive rock stuff almost exclusively, I would keep watching in this series and look for some better options. But there are some great things about this bass. The 24 fret neck, it's got some good aggressive tones, and of all the basses with an active bass boost that we tried in this series, I think this was all of our favorite. It had a nice, focused, punchy sound for a bass boost knob, while some of the other ones sound kind of boomy. So that's the verdict on the Toby Deluxe 4. I don't think it really lived up to the Tobias name. I've played some real custom Michael Tobias basses, and they're exquisite, beautiful instruments, and this just feels like a cheap bass. So it's not the worst bass you could go for, but I would keep watching and look at some better options in this series. If you're watching this on YouTube, I highly recommend that you go check out the full piece on bassbuzz.com. There's a lot more info about tech specs and construction quality for each bass, as well as more details about our review methodology and some other various notes about the basses that didn't fit into the videos. So I'll see you in the next review.